This is called Say Goodbye. Say goodbye to yesterday. You don't need to feel that way. Everything's gonna be okay today. Say goodbye to hating stuff. You don't need to be so tough. Love is just enough to see you through. Say goodbye to all those dreams, as good as they all seem. It's time to dream bigger dreams today. You are something new and full. You are something beautiful. And you are letting go the old and putting on the new. Say goodbye to who you were. Something new is about to stir, and I think you'll prefer the new you see. You are something new and full, and you are something beautiful, and you are letting go the old and putting on the new. Say goodbye to yesterday. You don't need to feel that way. Everything's gonna be okay today. Everything's gonna be okay today. Everything's gonna be okay today. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Reverend Blair. As you've already seen, we have a surprise musical guest today who happens to also be our minister for the day. So my name is Todd Bopel. It's my honor to be your board treasurer and to be doing the announcements this morning. And my first announcement is to welcome Blair. So Blair, thank you. We were chatting this morning, and Blair started playing ukulele when he was really, really young. And then in high school, he took up guitar, as so many of us did, because, you know, girls like guys with guitars. So I'm not really sure if that's why he did it. Yeah, that was the story. That's right. That was the advertising that we bought into. But it's great to have Blair here today. Blair's got some CDs back on the table if you want to learn more about his music and enjoy more of it. But he's going to be giving us the message today as well as the gift of his incredible music. So we're really, really blessed. One of the things we want to start doing, and today I think is the first time, or one of the first times, we're going to have a moment of gratitude in these announcements each morning. And so we just want to stop and take a moment to appreciate some of the folks that are kind of doing things behind the scenes and the various selfless servers that do things to make this campus work and to make this ministry work. And so today we want to recognize our hospitality team now that hospitality is resuming again. If you are part of that team, would you please stand? If you would stand if you're part of the hospitality team so that we can recognize you. And Susan's trying to bring them out of the kitchen too. I know there's some others in the kitchen. But thank you all so much for what you do. If you're interested in joining the hospitality team and helping with that service each Sunday, please see Susan or Bill, or feel free to send an email to unity@unitytustin.org, which is kind of our catch-all email address for anything that you might have questions about. And that's true for any selfless service opportunity. You can always email that. And some more have stepped out of the kitchen. Thank you, Susan and team. Thank you all very much. It's really great, and it's great to have hospitality picking up again now that we're able to be more in person and more closely with each other physically. We are in the middle of Adventure in Faith, as you know, and so this is week 3. That means study groups have now closed, so the study groups are sort of set for the remainder of the month and into November. The bookstore is restocked with the books, so if you haven't bought the book yet, 7 Masters, One Path, you can find that in the bookstore to purchase. It is out of print, so you really can't find it anywhere else. It's very difficult to find anywhere else, but we do have lots of copies here in the bookstore. And then there are links to the recording from the retreat were in this week's e-news. So there's more information there and on the website if you want to go check out the retreat and some of the content to dive a little deeper into that content. Today at 1 p.m., we sort of have 2 announcements. The first one is that there was going to be a drum circle today at 1 p.m. That has been canceled. But starting again next month, the 3rd Sunday of each month at 1 p.m., there should be a drum circle over in Site 8 in the meditation garden. But today at 1 p.m., we will be having our new member class in the sanctuary. So if you are interested in possibly becoming a new member, or if you're just interested in learning more about the Unity movement and what that means and some of the basic tenets of that movement, you are welcome to attend. There is absolutely no pressure to join the church. This is just something that if you did want to join the church, it would be a class that you would need to have taken at least once and sat in on. But if you're just interested in what Unity's all about or what this church is about and what our core values are and what that means, you are always welcome to attend. Even if you've attended before and would like a refresher, you're welcome to attend. So please join Blair today at 1 o'clock in the sanctuary for that class, if you have any interest in that at all. And that leads to spiritual baptism, which will be next week. So when anyone becomes a member of the church, we have a spiritual baptism ceremony, and that happens during the Sunday service. And so that will be happening next week during the service for any new members who are becoming new members, or for anyone that would like to rededicate as an existing member. You can fill out a form back here on the table with the pink tablecloth, and you will be able to participate in that spiritual baptism ceremony next week. And it's a beautiful ceremony, so highly encourage that. And then the last announcement this morning is, I see Reverend Marge out here this morning. Hi, Reverend Marge. Good to see you. Senior Minister Emeritus Dr. Marge Britt will be having her Called by Love Institute monthly Zoom call this coming Wednesday, entitled Manifesting from Divine Mind, which will focus on Site 3 of our meditation garden and the deeper meaning behind that site. So the details for that call were in the Friday e-news blast. If you didn't get that, or if you want some more information, like I said, unity@unitytustin.org is always the place you can email to get any information about anything going on, and that would include Dr. Marge's class as well. So please look into that. And with that, we have come to the time where we're ready to start the service. And so I would encourage you to sit back and relax. Close your eyes if that calls to you, and we'll start to get into the meat of the service now. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Good morning. I'm Arnie Bozensky. I'm one of your prayer chaplains here at Unity of Tustin. It's my honor today to start the service by lighting the Christ candle and reading the daily word. And as I prepare to light the Christ candle, we know that it signifies not only the Christ light that we all possess, but the Christ light that we look for in every sentient human being. And today's word is world peace. The affirmation, I am a peaceful presence to all. Peace in the world begins with me. I consider it a sacred responsibility to respond to all people and circumstances peacefully. I forgive myself for those moments I am less than peaceful and quickly return to the peace of God in my heart. I am a living expression of God, just as all people are. My tranquil bearing inspires peacefulness wherever I go and with everyone I meet. Each day, I join like-minded people everywhere in a renewed commitment to be the presence of peace. I give thanks as each of us communicates God's love in our own unique ways. Peace and harmony are established in individuals, families, and communities like ours, and among nations throughout the world. Today's passage from Scriptures, put things in order, listen to my appeal, agree with one another, live in peace, and God of love and peace will be with you. And I'm going to say the affirmation one more time, and then I'd like you all to repeat it with me. I am a peaceful presence to all. Together, I am a peaceful presence to all. Thank you.
Well, let's take a moment to establish ourselves in a consciousness of prayer, recognizing that that infinite presence is all around us and within us. And we take this moment then to dedicate ourselves to being aware of it, not only in this moment, but through our lives. But we see ourselves today gathered together, those in person and those online, as being a part of a network of light and love and joy. And we see that energy of spirit flowing through each of us individually and all of us together as a blessing that knits us together in a consciousness of oneness, a consciousness of world peace, consciousness of joy and healing, a consciousness of abundance. And so we see ourselves here celebrating this wonderful presence. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. Well, it is so good to have you here today. Thank you, Christy, for asking me if I wanted to do my music. So I appreciate that. So we're going to do the order of service a little bit different. We're going to do the meditation after the lesson because the lesson is about how to go a little bit deeper into our meditation experience. So we're going to start. And this is a song called Wake Up My Soul. Wake up my soul and reach for the sky. Wake up my soul, join the Spirit and fly to bless all creation with joy and elation. Wake up my soul. Listen, dear mind, to the song of the light. Listen, dear mind, for the harmony's just right. The angels are singing, the heavens are ringing. Listen, listen, dear mind. And God is your real home. You ever are welcome. Just make yourself at home. Let all that God is shine through. God lives as blessings through you. Reach out my heart with a loving embrace. Reach out my heart, touch all time and space. Flood every being with God's life for healing. Reach out my heart. And God is your real home. You ever are welcome. Just make yourself at home. Let all that God is shine through. God lives as blessings through you. Wake up, my soul, and reach for the sky. Wake up, my soul, join the Spirit and fly to bless all creation with joy and elation. Wake up, my soul. Wake up, my soul. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, my soul. Thank you. Thank you very much. So as Todd mentioned, we're in the third week of our Seven Masters, One Path series. And the first week was about I am breathing freely, and just recognizing that's the beginning of nearly every meditation practice around the world. Just breathing and not trying to breathe in a certain way. We can do that. And in the book, if you read the book, he does give some little exercises. But it's basically just knowing that we've got to breathe, so you might as well. And just relax into that breath. And then last week we looked at the idea of then quieting the mind. And of course, the moment that we quiet the mind, then there's some kind of noise over on the side, isn't there? Or a squirrel rushes through. Or there's something else that occurs to us. And so we just say, quiet the mind, quiet the mind, quiet the mind. Breathing freely, quiet the mind. We're going to look today at this idea that we can accept the world just the way it is. And as soon as I say that my mind has objections, oh, wait a minute. What about this? What about that? What about this situation? What about that person? I can't accept the world just the way it is. And so we have to, it's a practice. And there's an old story, an old Chinese story about a farmer. The farmer has two mares. And he wakes up one morning, finds that his corral has been broken down, the mares are gone. He's lost his horses. And so all the neighbors gather around and say, oh, that's too bad. And he goes, maybe yes, maybe no. And so later that day, the mares come back with a stallion. And the neighbors go, this is good. And the farmer goes, maybe yes, maybe no. So the next day, the farmer's son is out, and he's going to take this wild stallion, and he's going to break this stallion, and he gets thrown off, and his leg gets broken. And the neighbors go, oh, no, this is terrible. And the farmer goes, maybe yes, maybe no. The next day, the warlord's army has come around to conscript able-bodied young men. The farmer's son does not qualify because he's got a broken leg. And the neighbors go, this is good. And then the farmer says, maybe yes, maybe no. And the story goes on for years. That something happens, and the neighbors have an opinion. This is good, this is bad. And the farmer goes, I don't have enough information. I can't judge this, good or bad. We've been raised our whole lives to be good judgers. Yeah, didn't your mother warn you about not going out with dirty underwear? Because if you were in an accident, somebody would judge you, right? Probably not, but she was worried about that, wasn't she? So we've been taught this our whole lives, about to look at, what is good, what is bad, what is up, what is down, what is cold, what is hot. I remember growing up, my parents were coffee drinkers. If you had talked to them about iced coffee, they would have gone, what? You drink coffee hot, don't you? Maybe yes, maybe no. And so it's recognizing that we can look at situations, we can look at illnesses, we can look at financial disasters, and we can say, this is bad, but is it? It just is. Really, it just is. But because we've been trained to judge, we jump to that. And many times it's like we want it to be different. And because we want it to be different, we don't operate from where we are and what the situation is. We operate from where we'd like it to be. And there's no traction there. There's no traction in where we'd like it to be. There's no traction in the past. There's no traction in the future. There's only traction right now. And so it's being aware that this is where we want to be in our lives. So here's one of the things the Buddha says. The Buddha is our master for this week. With single-mindedness, the master quells his thoughts. Stops his thoughts. He ends their wandering. Seated in the cave of the heart, he finds freedom. Now, does that mean you need to go to some special cave? No, because it's the cave of the heart. And so, as we always talk about, so the planes go by, is it good or is it bad? It just is. It just is what's part of it. You know, does your arm itch? Is it good or is it bad? It just is. You know, what is. And I love, if you've studied the work of Byron Katie, which I know she's been here before, I mean, she talks about how many times, you know, we've got this story about what's happening, and we're living in that story rather than living in what's real. And if you've got the story that this person is bad, and you're living in that story, all you're going to look for is evidence that supports that story. But if you have the story say that this is a child of God, and that's the story you're trying to live in, then you'll look for evidence to support that story. And so it's recognizing that when we tell ourselves that it's this or it's that, it's just a story. One of my favorite experience was a program called Making a Difference. It was a 4-day program for ministers. And they started out with this distinction. There's something that's present, and then we make a representation of it. You know, something's here, a person, an event, an experience. But then we have a story about it. And we live in that story rather than what's really here. And so if we can strip away our story and just be present, here's what is. So I accept the world not as it is. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do something to change it, to fill my needs, to help other people feel their needs, but I first have to accept it the way it is. You know, that life is this way. Okay. You know, one of the 4 noble truths of the Buddha, the first one is life is suffering. Those of us who are doing the grief recovery workshop, we're at that point in working after our loss history graph. What are the losses you've had in your life? And you go, oh, life sucks. Because we've all had losses in our lives. But it's the story that we tell about those losses that makes them difficult. If we just say, oh, this happened, here was my experience. It doesn't mean I don't have a reaction. Of course I have a reaction. I feel good about it, I don't feel good about it. I liked it, I didn't like it. But can I just be present with that and not say, well, I should have done this. You know, I should have been stronger. You know, I should have planned ahead. I mean, my son, who's 44 years old, lost a friend of his yesterday to a heart attack at 44 years old. You know, well, that's not supposed to happen. Well, it did, yeah. And it's not a happy thing, but if you don't accept it, and pretend it's different, then you can't be authentic with yourself, and you can't do authentic action then because you're not present to yourself. So there's 2 things I want to really talk about: accepting what is, and then accessing the spiritual reality to work with that. So one of my favorite things, Byron Katie talks about this. It says that if you decide that you think you can teach a cat to bark, you can spend a lot of energy on that, irritate the cat, and the cat's still going to meow. And so realizing that we want to come to this. And Jesus says, do not judge by appearances. And there's this wonderful writing that I found. It says, what else do we have to make judgments by? We have the truth, besides our regular judgment. It cannot be seen with our eyes or on our bodies. It is the spiritual essence of each person. Why don't they act like it then, we ask? We can only ask that question because we're still stuck in thinking that appearances reveal all that we need to know about a person. You think that you can know everything about a person by how they look? We have that old phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Because you don't know what's going on. If we are looking for evidence, we must look for what Jesus calls righteous judgment. Righteous judgment bows to each one, namaste. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you. Look for the Christ in the other from the Christ in you, and you will behold an ageless, eternal radiance of God in them. And you will see beyond layers of accumulated earthly wounding and celebrate the emerging I am that is their ever living real self. So it's that wounding that we have, those losses that we've had, those things that didn't work out for those disappointments. And what happens many times, we push down our energy about that because we don't want it. We don't want to feel it. But that's part of accepting what is in the moment, accepting the world as it is, accepting myself as I am, is to feel those things, to be aware of them and to recognize that feelings are not our identity. They're not our feelings. We have feelings. Feelings come and go. But when we're present to those feelings, we're present to an energy. Because when we deny those feelings, we're pushing that energy down, and it blocks the energy, and it takes energy to do that, so we don't have the energy to be the creative person that we want to be. But when we access those feelings, we can be alive with them. And out of sadness, write a piece of music that touches the hearts of others. Out of that sadness, reach out to someone else in a challenging situation. Not because of it, but as a part of it, as a part of our experience in reality. There was a church sign that said, "Love, next week." Apparently that was their theme for next week, but it was like, well, no, it's love this week too. And recognize that we can have that experience right now. So how are we judging ourselves and others? And to be unimpressed with the labels that others give us, or that others give others, or that we give others. Just be unimpressed with the labels. Well, they're this. Even when it's like Reverend Blair Tabor. People say, how should you call me? Blair. My name is Blair. It's like, the Reverend is my reminder. When we had the letterhead down at UoT San Diego, I would put Blair Tabor, comma, minister in lowercase. I didn't have a capital M. Minister. I'm the minister. No, minister in lowercase. It's a verb that way, not a title. It's a verb reminding me what my job is, to serve, to serve. And so when we go beyond the labels, what we find then is what's present. And what's present is amazing. What's present is not only the physical presence that's there, but what's present is the spiritual, dynamic energy field and ideas and creativity and power, life and vitality. That's all here too, but if we're not present to it, we can't access it. And that's part of what our meditation practice is about, is to say, I'm breathing freely. I'm quieting my mind. I know I'll get busy again, but I'm quieting it right now. And I accept the world as it is. I accept myself as it is. I accept the spiritual reality as it. I accept it as it is, so that I can access all of that is. I don't want to shut myself off from any part of that. I want to be embraced by and embrace every bit of that in every moment and letting it in. And so that's the next part. After accepting what is, it's then how do we apply this? When we have situations like this, wherever you go, there you are. Your luggage, however, that's another story, right? We have this. So how do you deal with lost luggage? How do you deal with the lost love? How do you deal with a lost job? How do you deal with the things that didn't work out for you? Again, being present to it, accepting it, this is the way it is. Oh, I wish it was different. I do too. But that doesn't do us any good. Be present to what is, physically, emotionally, mentally, but also spiritually. We have this infinite resource. We can call it God, we can call it Mother, Father, we can call it whatever we want to. Higher power. I like to call it living presence, because that's the way I try to think of it, is that a living presence that I'm a part of. Paul's wonderful speech to the Athenians, in him we live and move and have our being. Where can you go to get away from that? You can't. Because in it you live and move and have your being. And so let your beingness be a part of that livingness that's there. And then you access those wonderful divine ideas. And you'll get that idea. They call it out of the blue, right? So somebody said, well, then God must be blue. And that's one of his colors. But and so we recognize that it's out of that intuition, that inner knowingness, that will feed us. That's how we deal with what is. Because we have needs, and in the moment, I have to accept that I've got a need. My need may be that I'm hungry. So I accept that. It doesn't mean I don't do anything about it. I just accept the fact. I'm thirsty. I accept the fact that I'm thirsty, and I take a drink of water. I accept the fact that my job isn't going well, and so I'm going to make a different choice. Because if I pretend, it's fine, I'm fine. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. How many times have we said that? When it's not fine at all. Usually when I ask somebody, I said, how are you? And they say, I'm fine. I go, you're lying to me. I want to hear the truth. I have time. I'm here. I'm listening. Tell me how you're doing. Let's be present to that. Many times last week I said, what's the hardest thing about this? And they, this and this and that. I said, well, can you deal with that? And they go, well, yeah, I can. Okay, well then, it's not hard anymore. Because you were present to it, all of a sudden, you have access to moving ahead in a different way. I like the idea to actionize. It's a word that actually started in English about the 17th century. And Jesus put it this way, if you know these things, blessed are you if you do them, right? And so we accept the world as it is, be open to what Spirit has for us, and it's those little inklings that come. It's a thought that just flickers across the mind. God doesn't have a megaphone go, all right, Blair, this is for you, pay attention. It's just this little idea. And the Elijah story, it's usually translated as a quiet thought. Some of the translators are gentle whisper. It came as a gentle whisper. That's the way. And then if we don't listen, then it comes as a 2x4. But we get the whisper first. And if we pay attention, then we don't need the 2x4 in that experience. And so when we're meditating, it's recognizing, start with the breath. Just breathe. If you can breathe with the belly. Like I said when we did our retreat, if you've ever seen a baby on their back breathing, their belly moves. Their belly goes up and down. Because if you think about the shape of the lungs, the smallest part of the lungs are up here. The biggest part of the lungs are down below. Where do we usually breathe? If we were breathing here, rather than going. So we want to suck that air in here and breathe freely as you can in the moment. And again, if your ribs are in pain, well then just breathe as shallow as you can get by with in the moment. Be present to what is. Don't hurt yourself more. But breathe as freely as you can in that moment, and then just quiet your mind. And again, sometimes it helps to have a certain word, a certain thought. When we go into the meditation, we'll do a little chant I call the I am chant. And using the word just I am, or I am life, I am light, I am love, I am peace. Just something short, just something for the moment to let your mind wrap around it, and then let it go. And then let your mind be quiet. And then as you think about things, just say, okay, well, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. I accept it the way it is. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything about it, but in this moment, I'm just accepting it. I'm just accepting it. The next thought I'm going to talk about next week is loving yourself just the way you are. And so, but for now, we're just accepting what is and saying, oh, there it is. Is it good? Is it bad? Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. I'm just going to be present to it and let Spirit teach me what I need to know. Not let my small little mind, my judging, limited mind, make up all these stories about what is or what isn't. Let Spirit reveal to you, and you can only happen when you quiet your mind and accept what is. And then Spirit says, here's what to see. Here's what to do. Here's what to know. Here's when to be quiet. Here's when to step forward. Here's when to open your mouth. Here's when to cry. Here's when to bless someone. Here, Spirit will give you that because you're not busy with all these stories. You've opened yourself to something more. So I love this phrase, change is inevitable, struggle is optional. Are you tired of struggling? Then accept what is. Accept the way it is right now. Here's what John Selby wrote in the wonderful book. And again, if you don't have the book, I really encourage you to get it and to read it, because he's got all these auxiliary meditations in there, all this wonderful information, scientific stuff. So here's what he says. Temporarily put aside that judgmental activity of the mind, so that you can see the truth clearly. Accept reality as it is, and thus set yourself free from the binding effect of chronic judgment and all its resultant heartaches. So, if you want peace, if you want to be open to guidance, breathe freely, quiet the mind, accept the world as it is, and you'll find that there's so much more that Spirit has available to us in that. Accepting the present moment means accepting that allness in every moment. So let's go into our meditation now. So you can sing or not sing. Oop. This clip came off. Let's see how that goes. I just have to accept that. I could pretend it didn't happen, and then I'd be in real trouble, wouldn't I? So I'm going to put this down a moment like this. Okay. So this guitar, by the way, was a gift to me from my congregation in San Diego. I'm just so grateful. Nicest guitar I've ever owned. So the first part of this is just the I am, and then we'll add little bits to that later. I invite you to close your eyes. I am, I am, I am, I am light, I am light, I am light, I am light, I am, back to the I am. I am, I am, I am love, 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 I am, I am, I am joy, 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 I am, peace. Last time, I am peace, I am peace, I am peace, I am peace, I am. So I invite you to close your eyes if they're not already and just tune into your breath. Just breathing freely. There's no way that's perfect. There's no way that's more right than another way. Just breathe. And bless your breath. And know that your breath is larger than you are. It's the breath of the infinite, the breath of spirit. In fact, in most ancient languages, the word spirit and breath are the same word. Breathing freely. This moment. This moment is enough. And with a focus on our breath, we just notice that our minds are more quiet. But thoughts will come. They always do. That's what that frontal lobe of the brain was designed for. But we're connected with more than just that. Breathing with the breath of spirit. And even as some mystics say, let that breath of God breathe you. And with a quiet mind, just say to yourself, I accept the world as it is, and I bless it. I accept the world as it is, and I bless it. And when the objections start to show up from your mind, just say, yes, I've heard that story before. Maybe yes, maybe no. I accept the world as it is, and I bless it. And when the thoughts come, you just acknowledge them, yes, because that's part of accepting the world, accepting those thoughts that rise up. And just say, I want to be deeper than that right now. I want to accept my spiritual reality as well. The truth of my being is created in the image and likeness of the infinite. A part of eternal life. An overflowing fountain of divine love. I want to accept that as well. And there may be someone in your life that's been a challenge to you. I want you to imagine that they come in, sit down across from you, and you're going to say, I accept you just the way you are, and I bless you. And your mind may come up with all kinds of stuff, and just say, yes, yes, I know all that. I've heard all that story before. But in this moment, I see that this too is a child of God. And they've had challenges and traumas and losses and woundings. And they've tried to make their life work. And in some ways they've been successful. In some ways, my judgment is they have not. I let that judgment go and see that they are more than their actions, more than their thoughts, more than their feelings. They are eternal, blessed children of the divine. I see that as their truth. I behold the Christ in you. Namaste. And now let all that go. Again, be present to your breath. Let your mind be quiet. In the silence. Mahatma Gandhi used to say, I have so much to do today, I couldn't possibly do it without 2 hours of meditation. Why? Because in that openness to the larger reality, letting go of the small things in life, open to the larger reality, we are access to the ideas, the energy, the creativity, the power, the connection with others that brings forth greater good. Breathe freely, quiet the mind, accept the world as it is, and find that you are a part of God's radiant presence. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. Amen. Well, as Christy's coming up, I'll tell you a joke. So two men meet on the street. One says, how are you doing? So I'm doing fine. He says, well, how's your son? Is he still unemployed? Yes, he's still unemployed, but he's meditating. Meditating? What's that? I don't know, but it's better than sitting around doing nothing.
Thank you, Reverend Blair, for that beautiful talk and meditation. Before we come to the time of receiving our tithes and our love offerings, we'd like to take a moment to welcome anyone who might be here for the very first time. At Unity of Tustin, we acknowledge that there is one God, one heart, but many paths. So wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If you're here for the very first time, will you raise your hand so that our ushers can bring you a welcome packet? Keep your hand raised. Thank you and welcome. Is there anyone else? We have another one over here on our right, my right. Our usher is on her way to you. We're so glad that you're here. Inside that welcome packet, you'll find an information card, and if you'll fill that out and turn it in, then it'll enable us to be in contact with you. One of our spiritual members, our spiritual ministry team members, will reach out to you and invite you to have a one-on-one conversation with her. We can also put you on our mailing list so that you can learn about all the different things that we have going on here on a weekly basis and upcoming events as well. So again, we welcome you. As we come to the time of receiving our tithes and our love offerings, I'm reminded of a quote that I saw this week by Winston Churchill. It said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And so your financial contributions here to Unity of Tustin help us build the life of this church and how we can serve one another and our community. So as we all bring our tithes and our love offerings into our hands and into our hearts, I invite you all to say the love offering blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And as our ushers begin to pass our love offering bags, Reverend Blair has another musical gift to share.
Put that in for me. Thank you. So this is called God's Good is Everywhere. God's good, God's good, God's good is everywhere, and I am a channel of infinite good. So this is about being that open to give and to receive. And part of that, to supporting our church is that particularly those who commit to a monthly or bi-monthly or weekly, whatever, that helps us do our planning so much. So you'll catch on to this real quick, so if you want to sing. God's good, God's good, God's good is everywhere. God's good, God's good, God's good is everywhere. And I am a channel of infinite good. I am a channel of infinite good. That's all there is. God's good, God's good, God's good is everywhere. God's good, God's good, God's good is everywhere. And I am a channel of infinite good. I am a channel of infinite good. Let's sing God's life. God's life, God's life, God's life is everywhere. God's life, God's life, God's life is everywhere. And I am a channel of infinite life. I am a channel of infinite life. Joy, God's joy, God's joy, God's joy is everywhere. God's joy, God's joy, God's joy is everywhere. And I am a channel of infinite joy. I am a channel of infinite joy. Amen? Amen.
We take a moment now to say a little blessing over our tithes and our love offerings. Divine Oneness, we are in gratitude for all that we have received and for all the ways that we know we'll be inspired to give to this community and to the world at large. And so it is. Amen. Just a couple of announcements before we complete our service. Our prayer chaplains will be at the entrance to the meditation gardens. So if there's anything that you'd like to hold in prayer, a piece of gratitude or concern on your heart, our prayer chaplains will be there to spend time with you. You can also fill out a written prayer request and put it in the prayer box. Todd will be the member of our board that will be available at the back table. So if you have any questions for him or for myself, anyone on the team here, we'd be happy to connect with you after the service. You may also, again, pick up your Adventure in Faith book in the bookstore, and please do stay and join us at 1 o'clock for our information meeting. If you're interested in becoming a member of Unity of Tustin, either now or sometime in the future, if you'd just like to gain more information, we'd love to have you join us. That's going to be in the sanctuary, yes, at 1 o'clock. And so now, as we do begin to close our service, let's say together Unity's prayer for protection. And if you're new, the words are inside the bulletin. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go forth into your week, accepting the present moment. And God bless you.
Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light blaze through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy, springs from my soul to you. Catch on fire with the zeal of God, oh let your light blaze through. Sing and dance, yes, laugh and shout, creation gives you the cue. You say that your God is love, well it's time to live it like it's true. Spirit of joy, oh holy joy, springs from my soul to you. Catch on fire with the zeal of God, oh let your light blaze through. Let your image reflect the truth that you are God's own child. Shout about the light within, holy, pure, and undefiled. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light blaze through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light blaze through. Let your light blaze through. Let your light blaze through. Blessing.